this is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and today my family and I are getting ready for a wedding.
Hi, my name is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman. I'm an intuitive psychic medium here in the Sugar Land area. That's just outside of Houston. I work with my angels and guides to assist my clients in many areas of their lives, to bring them special messages from loved ones who have passed, to dialogue with their angels for guidance into their own situation, or to assist them with their own psychic abilities. If you like my content, please make sure to subscribe, like, and comment.
A wedding. And it's kind of an exciting one because this is a girl that we have seen kind of grow up with my daughter, and it's just fun and exciting to go to weddings. But there's a couple of things that I would say really have to be kept in mind as you get prepared for the day. And of course, her day is today, but the really cool part is kind of getting prepared for it. So many times in the last probably 10 or so years, I have seen people get married and usually sometimes get divorced very, very quickly. And a lot of times what that's telling me is like they weren't really showing their true selves to their partner, because the partner is thinking, I think you're this, and you're really not, you're this. And it's really interesting. No matter what type of marriage you're going to have, truth and communication is probably the most important thing you could possibly think of. But I would say it's only part of it, because it's not just communication about what's going on right now. I've got a meeting, or I've got this, or I've got this going on, or whatever it is. It's also about what's gone on in your past. And that should be taken a couple of different ways. Yes, it's important to tell your partner about what you've done in the past, or who you've dated, or those sort of things. But it's also important to really share about your childhood, because that will give that person a couple of clues of like who you really are. A lot of times, not always, you're going to turn out somewhat similar to your parents. You may not be that far off the mark in this, but you may end up realizing like I'm really kind of more like my mom than I am my dad, or I'm really deal with life more like my dad than anything else. And that doesn't mean it's good or it's bad, but it's what you were taught, and now you have to make new choices. But for them to understand who you are now, how you made those choices, and who you were back then are really important. And I really wouldn't talk to it about like a short-term boyfriend or someone I haven't been dating all that long. But if there's someone that you have been dating for a while, they should know that and understand that. The other part is that you should know that and understand that. A lot of times people will tell me that it's really interesting that my husband supports me in my business because I'm a psychic and he's a computer geek. And I said, I didn't realize when we started dating that I was a psychic, because I would have told him that. But it was like I was still trying to find out who I was, and that was the important part. That's the part that I told him about, like, I see life differently, and I don't understand this, and why people do certain things. It's one of those, I explained that to him so he had some ideas about that. And that's the weird, quirky part, is that I explained those things to him. So when I kind of came out to him like, I think I'm psychic, I think I figured out what I am, I'm psychic, it wasn't like, what are you talking about? It was more like, oh, you finally figured it out. You figured out that you're this. And it's like, yeah. And then he was kind of like, what does that mean? And I said, I don't know. I'll get back to you on that part. So that's the kind of the fun, quirky part about it, is I had told him, like, even as a child, I always saw angels and ghosts. I was never terrified by them. I was never afraid of them or anything else. I was used to it. It wasn't scary to me. It's one of those, not that there's not scary out there, but it's one of those, like, I never really got, when someone says, oh, there's a ghost in the house, people are like, I wasn't that. I was like, ooh, really? Let's check out his energy and see what he's all about. But being able to talk to your partner about your psychic abilities is very, very, very important. Talking about your abilities with the people around you, only if they're open to it. Does that make sense? Like, if they're not open to it, don't do it. It's one of those, you're trying to sell them on the idea of who you think you are, and they're already sold on the idea of who they think you are. And that's kind of the weird, quirky part, is that you have to understand, like, you need to be aware of what you think you are, learning about yourself, learning about your abilities. It's kind of like, oh, I didn't know that I could, do a back bend or whatever it is. It's like something crazy that you're just like, oh, I didn't know I had that ability. But this is like really who you are, because being a psychic, being someone who is overwhelmed by energy easily, usually doesn't do well in like public places with a lot of people. That's something they need to know about ahead of time, so they don't keep going like, hey, let's go to my family reunion where I have 100 or 150, 200 people there. Like, that can be overwhelming with energy, and that can be overwhelming for anybody, but that can be really overwhelming for a psychic person or someone who picks up energy easily. That can be just a deal breaker almost. And so that makes it a little bit easier, so you can kind of like, okay, I can go for a period of time, and then I can maybe go back to the hotel and take a nap or do some cleansing or a meditation and come back. That makes life easier and more understandable, and easier to deal with, so that you know that I have to take breaks. I personally have to take breaks and do this a different way than everybody else. And understanding you is really important. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I know that we'll be talking again soon.